I still remember the day Sidonia ran up to me, her eyes sparkling like stars, waving her left hand in front of my face. That diamond ring caught the afternoon light as she threw her arms around me and whispered, "You are the first person I wanted to tell." My heart swelled with pride. After everything we had been through together, my baby sister was getting married. But I had no idea that this wedding would reveal a side of her I never knew existed. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. Now let me take you back to where it all started to fall apart. Our family shattered when I was 17 years old. My father walked out on a Tuesday morning, leaving behind nothing but a note that said he had found someone who made him feel alive again. My mother collapsed into a darkness that took years to lift. She spent months in bed, barely eating, crying herself to sleep every night. The doctors called it severe depression. I called it heartbreak. Sidonia was only 12 back then. She was just a kid who did not understand why Daddy was not coming home anymore. I remember her standing at the window every evening for the first few weeks, waiting for his car to pull into the driveway. It never did. Someone had to step up. Someone had to make sure the bills got paid, that food was on the table, that Sidonia got to school on time. That someone was me. I had dreams of going to college. I had been accepted to Georgia State with a partial scholarship. But dreams do not pay the rent. Dreams do not put groceries in the refrigerator. So I deferred my enrollment, then deferred it again until eventually I stopped pretending I would ever go back. Instead, I became a plumber's apprentice. It was honest work, good work. Within 5 years, I had my own license and a steady stream of clients. I was not rich by any means, but I could keep a roof over our heads. I could keep Sidonia in school. I could make sure my mother had her medication. Sidonia and I grew incredibly close during those years. She used to follow me around the house, asking me to help with her homework, telling me about the drama at school, sharing her dreams about the future. Every birthday, she would give me a handmade card with the same message written inside. To my hero, thank you for everything. I kept every single one of those cards in a shoebox under my bed. Funny how things change. When Sidonia turned 18, she got accepted to Emory University. The tuition was astronomical, but she had worked so hard for that acceptance letter. I took on extra jobs, worked weekends, did emergency calls at 2 in the morning. Between my contributions and her scholarships, we made it work. 4 years later, she walked across that stage with a degree in marketing and a smile that could light up the entire city of Atlanta. She got hired at a prestigious firm downtown, started making good money, started building her own life. I was proud of her, so incredibly proud. Then she met Derek. Derek Wellington came from old money. His family owned half the commercial real estate in Buckhead, or at least that is what it felt like. He drove a Mercedes, wore suits that cost more than my monthly rent, and spoke with the kind of casual confidence that only comes from never having worried about money a single day in your life. Sidonia brought him to my apartment for dinner about 3 months into their relationship. I had cleaned the place from top to bottom, cooked my best pot roast, even bought a decent bottle of wine. I wanted to make a good impression. Derek walked in, and I saw his eyes scan the room. My small living room with the secondhand couch, the kitchen where the faucet dripped despite my best efforts. The family photos on the wall showing our modest life. "So," he said, settling into my armchair like he was doing me a favor by sitting in it, "Sidonia tells me you work in construction." "I am a plumber," I said. "Oh." Just that one syllable loaded with something I could not quite name. Then he changed the subject to his recent trip to the Maldives. Sidonia barely touched her food that night. She kept glancing at Derek, laughing at everything he said, agreeing with opinions she would have argued against just months before. When they left, she gave me a quick hug and whispered, "Is it not he amazing?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her that a man who looks down on honest work is not a man worth having. But she was happy, happier than I had seen her in years. So I just smiled and said, "He seems nice." Over the next year, I watched my sister transform into someone I barely recognized. Her casual jeans and t-shirts were replaced by designer dresses. Her easy laugh became a practiced giggle. She started talking about wine vintages and yacht clubs and summers in the Hamptons. She stopped visiting on Sundays. She stopped calling just to chat. But when she called me that Tuesday evening, breathless with excitement, to tell me that Derek had proposed, I pushed all of that aside. This was my baby sister. She was getting married. Of course, I was going to be happy for her. "There is something else I need to talk to you about," she said, a week later, her voice suddenly nervous. "The wedding is going to be at Chateau Fontaine. You know that resort outside the city? Derek's parents are covering a lot of the expenses, but we are still short. We need about $35,000 for the venue deposit and catering advance." $35,000. That was my down payment fund, the money I had been saving for 12 years to finally buy my own home instead of renting. I did not hesitate. "I will transfer it tomorrow." Sidonia burst into tears on the phone. "Marcus, you are the best brother in the world. I will never forget this. I promise I will pay you back. This wedding is going to be perfect, and you are going to be such an important part of it." I believed her. Why would I not? This was the same girl who used to call me her hero. I really wish I could go back and warn myself about what was coming. The weeks after I transferred the money were strange. I kept expecting Sidonia to call me to ask for my input on the wedding plans, to include me in the excitement. Instead, I got sporadic text messages, most of them just acknowledging receipt of my questions without really answering them. "Do you need help choosing a caterer?" I would text. "Derek's mom has it covered," she would reply. "Can I come to the cake tasting?" "It is going to be really small, just me and the wedding planner." "Let us at least grab dinner this week. I want to hear all about the plans." "Super busy with fittings. Maybe next week." Next week never came. I asked her 3 separate times to meet up, and 3 separate times she canceled at the last minute. Work emergency, venue walkthrough, bridal shower planning. There was always something. I told myself she was just busy. Weddings are stressful. She would come around once things settled down. I kept telling myself that even as the knot in my stomach grew tighter. Then came the engagement party. The invitation arrived in a thick cream envelope with gold lettering. The party was being held at Aria, one of the most exclusive restaurants in Buckhead. The dress code simply said cocktail attire. I spent 2 hours at the mall trying to figure out what cocktail attire meant. For a man who had never been to a cocktail party in his life, I ended up with a navy blue button-down shirt and gray dress pants that the saleswoman assured me were appropriate. When I walked into Aria that Saturday evening, I immediately knew I had gotten it wrong. Every man in the room was wearing a tailored suit. The women glittered with jewelry that probably cost more than my truck. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over tables laden with champagne towers and elaborate flower arrangements. A string quartet played softly in the corner. I stood in the doorway feeling like a stain on a white carpet. Sidonia spotted me before I could retreat. She glided over in a dress that looked like liquid silver, her hair swept up in an elegant twist, diamonds sparkling at her ears. For a moment, she looked like a stranger. "Marcus, you made it." She air-kissed both my cheeks, a gesture she had never done before in her life. Come, I want to introduce you to everyone." Everyone turned out to be Derek's parents, Gerald and Constance Wellington. Gerald had the permanent tan of a man who spends his winters in Palm Beach. Constance looked like she had stepped out of a Neiman and Marcus catalog, all blonde highlights and perfectly manicured nails. "This is Marcus," Derek said, appearing at Sidonia's side with a glass of champagne. "Sidonia's older brother. He is a—" He paused, just long enough for the silence to feel intentional. Plumber. Gerald nodded once, his smile not reaching his eyes. How interesting. There is always need for good tradespeople. Constance looked at my shirt, my pants, my scuffed dress shoes. How nice that you could join us, she said, in a tone that suggested it was anything but. They excused themselves almost immediately to greet some arriving guests. A senator, I overheard someone whisper, old friends of the family. I spent the next 2 hours hovering at the edges of conversations I did not understand. Talk of stock portfolios and country club politics and European vacations. Nobody asked me a single question about myself. Nobody seemed particularly interested in the fact that I existed at all. Sidonia was always across the room, always with her back to me, always laughing at something Derek or his parents said. The few times our eyes met, she would give me a little wave and then turn away again. When I finally decided to leave, I had to track her down to say goodbye. She was in the middle of a conversation with a group of women who all looked like they had personal stylists. "Oh, you are leaving already." She gave me a quick hug, the kind you give an acquaintance, not a brother who raised you. "Thanks so much for coming, Marcus. I will call you soon, okay?" She did not call. 3 weeks before the wedding, I still had not received a formal invitation. I had seen photos on Sidonia's Instagram of the save, the dates, the invitations, the custom wax seals in dusty rose and gold. I had assumed mine was coming separately, maybe hand-delivered since I was family. Finally, I broke down and called her. "Hey, Sidonia. I was just wondering about the wedding invitation. Should I pick it up somewhere, or—" There was a long pause on the other end, so long that I thought the call might have dropped. "Marcus." Her voice was different now, careful, rehearsed. "I need to talk to you about something." My stomach dropped. "Okay." Derek and his family, they have a certain vision for the wedding. Everything is very curated, very specific. They want it to be a certain vibe, elegant, sophisticated, cohesive. I gripped the phone tighter. "What are you saying, Sidonia?" Another pause. "I just think maybe it would be better if you did not come. You would not fit in Marcus. You would feel uncomfortable, and I do not want anything to ruin my perfect day." The words did not make sense. They were sounds without meaning, a foreign language I had never learned. "Are you telling me I am not invited to your wedding? It is not like that. It is just, I paid $35,000 for this wedding, Sidonia. $35,000 that I saved for 12 years. And you are telling me I do not fit the vibe? I knew you would make this about money." Her voice turned cold. "I am grateful for your help, Marcus, I really am. But this is my day, my wedding, and I need it to be perfect. Having you there it would make things complicated." "Complicated how?" "Because I am a plumber, because I do not wear designer suits, because I remind Derek's precious family that you did not grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth. I am not having this conversation right now. I have to go." "Sidonia, wait!" But she had already hung up. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every sacrifice I had ever made for my sister. The college fund, the late nights, the missed opportunities, the relationships I had neglected because I was too busy working to support her. 12 years of my life dedicated to making sure she had a better future than I did. And she did not want me at her wedding because I did not fit the vibe. The next morning, I drove to my mother's apartment. She lived in a small place on the east side, modest but comfortable. I had helped her move there after she got back on her feet, helped her furnish it, helped her build a new life. When I told her about Sidonia's phone call, she started crying. "She did not invite me either," Mom said, wiping her eyes with a tissue. "She called last month, said it would be a small ceremony, very intimate, said she did not want me to feel out of place. Out of place. At her own daughter's wedding. She is ashamed of us, Marcus," Mom's voice cracked. "Her own family. We are not good enough for her new life. I held my mother while she cried, and something inside me hardened. Sidonia had always been ambitious, always wanted more than our modest upbringing could offer. I had admired that about her once. Now I saw it for what it really was, not ambition, but shame. She was not climbing toward something. She was running away from us. I could not let it end like this. I needed to confront her face to face, to make her look me in the eyes and tell me she did not want her own brother at her wedding. The next evening, I drove to the luxury high-rise where Sidonia and Derek lived. The doorman tried to stop me until I told him I was her brother. He called up and after a long pause said I could go to the 32nd floor. Derek answered the door. He was wearing a cashmere sweater and holding a glass of scotch, looking every bit the picture of old money leisure. Marcus, he did not move to let me in. Sidonia is busy right now. Then I will wait. He stared at me for a long moment, then stepped aside with a sigh. The apartment was enormous, all floor-to-ceiling windows, and modern art and furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Sidonia emerged from a back room wearing silk pajamas that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. Her face tightened when she saw me. "Marcus, I told you this is not a good time." "Too bad. We are doing this now." I stood in the middle of their pristine living room, feeling out of place and not caring. "I raised you, Sidonia. When Dad left and Mom fell apart, I gave up everything. My education, my dreams, my 20s, all so you could have a future." "I know that, Marcus." "Do you? Because you are cutting me out of the most important day of your life because I am a plumber? Because my job is not fancy enough for your fancy new family?" Sidonia's jaw tightened. "It is not about your job. It is about image. Derek's family has a reputation. They have certain expectations about who they associate with, who appears in their social circle. I cannot have my wedding looking like what?" I stepped closer. "Like your real family is there. Like you actually came from somewhere, instead of being manufactured in a country club. I think you should leave." But her voice was ice now, all trace of the sister I once knew completely gone. "Fine, but answer me one question first. Does Derek know where that $35,000 came from? Does he know his perfect bride needed her plumber brother to bail her out?" Sidonia's face went pale. Behind her, Derek's expression shifted from smug to curious. "I think it is time for you to go," Sidonia said quickly. Too quickly. I looked at her for a long moment, seeing for the first time the full depth of her betrayal. It was not just that she was ashamed of me. She was willing to erase me completely to maintain her perfect image. I left without another word. Derek gave me a satisfied smile as I walked past him, like he had won something. Maybe he thought he had. On the drive home, my mind kept circling back to one thing, the money. I had given Sidonia $35,000. She said it was for the venue deposit and catering advance. But something about her reaction when I mentioned it, that flash of panic, made me wonder. The next morning, I called Chateau Fontaine, told them I was following up on a booking under the name Wellington. "Oh, yes," the receptionist said. "The Wellington wedding. We have been trying to reach them, actually. The remaining balance is still outstanding. If it is not paid by this Friday, we will have no choice but to cancel the reservation." My heart stopped. Remaining balance, how much is left? $22,000. $22,000. I had given Sidonia $35,000 specifically for the venue. Where had the rest of the money gone? I did some digging. It was not hard to find out, really. Sidonia's Instagram was a treasure trove of information for anyone paying attention. A designer wedding dress from Vera Wang, custom Louboutin shoes, a diamond necklace from Tiffany, first-class tickets to the Maldives for the honeymoon. She had used my sacrifice money, my house fund, to buy luxury items for herself. She had been counting on Derek's parents to cover the venue, but apparently they had only committed to the catering and flowers. Sidonia had gotten greedy, spent too much, and now she was about to watch her perfect wedding crumble. Thursday night, one day before the venue's deadline. My phone rang at 11:45 p.m. Sidonia was crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Marcus, please, you have to help me. The venue called. They are going to cancel everything. I need $22,000 by tomorrow morning or the wedding is ruined." I sat in my dark living room, phone pressed to my ear, and felt absolutely nothing. "What happened to the $35,000 I gave you?" Silence. Then between sobs, "I thought Derek's parents were going to cover the venue. They said they would handle everything. But then they only paid for the caterer and the florist, and I had already spent the rest on other things, and I thought I could figure it out, and you spent it on a dress, and shoes, and jewelry, and your honeymoon." More silence. She knew I knew. "I was going to pay you back, I swear, Marcus. I just needed the wedding to be perfect first. The wedding that I am not invited to. Please." Her voice was raw now, stripped of all the affected sophistication she had been wearing like armor. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I cannot lose everything. Not like this. Please, Marcus, one more time. Help me one more time, and I will make it up to you. I promise." I thought about all the promises she had made over the years, all the cards calling me her hero, all the tears of gratitude that had turned out to mean nothing. "I need to think about it," I said. "I will call you in the morning." I did not sleep that night either. I lay in bed weighing my options, my conscience, my anger. I could save her. I had enough in my emergency fund to cover $22,000. It would wipe me out, but I could do it. 12 years of saving her. 12 years of putting her needs before my own. And what had it gotten me? Exclusion, shame, betrayal. At 6 a.m. I made my decision. I called Sidonia. "I am not giving you the money." "What, Marcus, please?" "No, and I want my $35,000 back. Every cent." "I cannot. I do not have it. Most of it is already spent. Marcus, you cannot do this to me." "I did not do anything to you, Sidonia. You did this to yourself. You chose Derek's family and their precious vibe over your own brother. You took my money and spent it on things to impress people who looked down on us. You erased me from your life like I was an embarrassment to be hidden away. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. But please do not punish me like this. This is not punishment. This is consequences. Something you have never had to face because I was always there to shield you from them." I took a deep breath. "I am done shielding you. You made your choice. Now live with it." I hung up before she could respond. The wedding was scheduled for Saturday at 4 p.m. By Friday at noon, Chateau Fontaine had officially canceled the reservation. Sidonia scrambled to find an alternative venue that could accommodate 200 guests with less than 24 hours' notice. Shockingly, no one was available. Derek was furious. His parents were mortified. The invitations had gone out months ago, and now they had to send emergency notifications that the wedding was postponed indefinitely. Among Buckhead's social elite, this was apparently a scandal of epic proportions. I heard most of this secondhand from mutual friends who had gotten caught in the middle. Derek blamed Sidonia for mismanaging the finances. Sidonia blamed me for abandoning her. Derek's parents blamed everyone and suggested that perhaps this wedding had been a mistake from the start. 2 weeks after the scheduled wedding date, Sidonia called me one last time. Her voice was hollow, emptied of tears and anger and everything else. "Derek ended the engagement." I waited. "He said he cannot marry someone who cannot even manage a simple wedding budget." His mother said, "I clearly was not raised properly for their lifestyle." A bitter laugh. I guess she was right about that. I should have felt vindicated. Some part of me did. But mostly I just felt sad. Not for Sidonia losing Derek, that was probably the best thing that could have happened to her. Sad for the sister I had lost long before this wedding ever happened. You were right about him, she continued. About all of them. They never loved me. They loved the idea of me, this perfect trophy wife, who would look good at their parties and give them pretty grandchildren. The second something went wrong, they threw me away like I was nothing. I tried to tell you. I know. I was too blind to see it, too desperate to escape where we came from, that I did not care who I hurt along the way. She paused. Including you, especially you. I did not say anything. What was there to say? I am not asking for forgiveness, she said. I do not deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did to you, what I did to Mom, how I traded my real family for a fake one made of money and appearances. I was so ashamed of where we came from that I became someone even more shameful. Yeah, I said quietly. You did. The months that followed were hard. Sidonia moved out of Derek's apartment into a modest one-bedroom across town. She stopped posting on Instagram. She stopped trying to be someone she was not. She started visiting Mom every Sunday. Bringing groceries, helping with chores, sitting and talking for hours like she used to before Derek came along. Mom told me about these visits tentatively at first, like she was afraid I would be angry. I was not angry. I was cautiously hopeful. About 6 months after the canceled wedding, an envelope appeared in my mailbox with no return address. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a handwritten letter. The letter did not ask for forgiveness. It did not make excuses. It simply acknowledged everything, the betrayal, the shame, the cruelty. It explained that Sidonia had gotten a new job, was living within her means for the first time in her life, and was committed to paying back every dollar she owed me, however long it took. I know money cannot fix what I broke between us, she wrote. But I need you to know that I remember every sacrifice you made for me. Every late night, every missed opportunity, every dollar you gave up so I could have a future. I spent years being ashamed of where I came from. Now I am ashamed of who I became. Over the next year, more checks arrived. Small amounts, sometimes just a few $100s, but consistent. By the end of that year, she had paid back nearly $12,000. Not even half, but more than I had expected. We started talking again slowly. Brief text messages at first, then phone calls, then a coffee meeting that turned into 3 hours of conversation, tears, and tentative reconciliation. She is different now, humbler, more honest. She laughs like her old self again, not that practiced giggle she learned in the Wellingtons world. She has a boyfriend, a high school teacher named David, who drives a Honda and has never been to a country club in his life. He treats her like a person, not a prize, to be displayed. We are not back to where we were before. Maybe we never will be. Some betrayals leave scars that never fully fade. But we are building something new, one honest conversation at a time, one shared Sunday dinner at Mom's apartment at a time, one small step at a time. I learned something important through all of this. Love does not mean being a doormat. Love does not mean sacrificing your own dignity to protect someone from consequences they created themselves. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let someone face the truth of who they have become. And Sidonia learned that the people who truly love you do not care about your vibe or your image or how you look at their parties. They care about your heart, your character, your kindness. They stand by you in your failures as much as your successes. They see where you came from and love you not in spite of it, but because of it. Our story does not have a neat ending. Real life rarely does. But it has hope. It has growth. It has two siblings finding their way back to each other through the wreckage of mistakes and pain and hard-won wisdom. So I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between protecting someone you love and protecting yourself? Have you ever had to let someone fall so they could learn to stand on their own? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I know I am not the only person who has struggled with this kind of impossible choice. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, no matter what anyone says about where you come from or what you do for a living, your worth is not determined by other people's opinions. You are enough exactly as you are. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.